Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good night. Wherever and whenever you're listening to this, welcome to the Bitaxe Townhall. We're riding the Townhall number 40. I'm One Clue, your host, and with me today on the stage is Duncan. I'm GPO. Hey mate, how are you?
Hi. I'm good. Being completely honest, I don't know why I've stumbled up upon on stage, but it's always fun to have a chat with you and talk about what's going on and stuff. I'm good. I'm going on holiday tomorrow with my family for a week, so I'm kind of frantically trying to. I'm getting heat sinks designed and getting cases finished and getting stuff kind of done so I can hopefully give my family some attention. But we know that's not going to happen. I have just
It's
installed
gonna happen.
Starlink. Well, I'm kind of preempting.
I think I kind of lost the connection to you. Seems like your audio just ripped out. I hope it's not just on my end. Anyway, so before we do
But
start,
yeah, I'm good.
oh, there you're back. Did you lost the connection for a second?
I don't know. That was it's probably my janky Starlink.
Oh, okay. You were just about to talk something about Starlink, and then a second later you were gone.
Well, it's obviously Elon Musk pulled the plug. I wasn't saying anything interesting. Honestly, it was just all
No, but
nonsense.
going
So
on
don't worry about
vacation
it.
with your family sounds awesome. And while you spoke about Starlink, have you noticed that yesterday there was like a global outage?
I did notice that. Yeah. So I actually run Starlink at home as my primary internet, and I have a backup Starlink that I have in my motorhome,
Oh no.
and everything went because I live in the middle of the Kent countryside, and on a good day I get about 2 megabytes or a 2 meg line with my copper line because I'm about 10 miles from the exchange. So
You
I
have fiber over
all I
there, man.
all yeah, it's like a third world regarding internet in the Kent countryside, but it's yeah, I mean Starlink like suffices, but I've got at any one time I've probably got about 100 Bitcoin miners kind of mining away, plus two kids who are gaming, plus my wife who's on Netflix, and it all clogs up very quickly. But first world
Imagine,
issues.
imagine what you're gonna do if you lose your internet connection. You need to communicate with humans. Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, I know. I'd actually have to go outside and talk to people, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Oh, what's that? So we do have a
So,
question from
so
Badger.
you,
We just have a question if anybody of us knows what was the cause for the Starlink outage. I don't know. I haven't read the news or anything else. I was too busy being on a BTC Citadel here in Germany, so I don't know. I just heard it because it was so funny. This conference that I attended to, I'll probably dive into this in just a second, but they had like lightning terminals on every single hut that they do had there so that you can purchase your beer or whatever with lightning, and they used Starlink, and yesterday nothing worked, which was hilarious. And let's see,
that's just ironic,
Cypher
isn't it?
is writing, Starlink experienced a global network outage on July 24, 2025 due to an internal software failure in core network services. The outage lasted about 2.5 hours and has been resolved. All right, but still today, the Starlink connection was kind of shit.
Yeah, yeah. But it is better than 10 miles of copper cable to the nearest telephone exchange. So I will take it.
Yeah, all right, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough.
So tell us about your drunken slash constructive weekend.
You're mostly drunken, probably. So for those of you who don't know, in Germany, it's like a huge, or not only in Germany, but also in Austria and Switzerland, there's like a community called 21 or 2100, better saying that. It's a yeah, German spoken community. And once in a year, they do create a come together or something like that, which is called the Bitcoin Citadelle. Basically translates over to BTC Citadel, and it's just like a gathering of everybody chilling out, having beer, having good talks, doing workshops. I was doing plenty of workshops over there again, and yeah, lots of food. And the funny part about this Citadel event thingy is like each year it happens in another part of Germany. That's what has happened for the last 4 years. So each year it was at a different location, and this year they booked like uh, an entire castle. It's called the Wasserburg in Heldrungen. So this would translate over to Water Castle in Heldrungen, and it's just like a huge castle in the middle of the countryside, but it's surrounded by like some water. So it does have this feeling of being floating in the water. It's kind of nice. It's huge, and it was insane. There were like plenty of workshops. I had a workshop yesterday at 9 a.m. The next one at like 11 a.m. Today I had another workshop at 9 a.m. I did like 2 workshops about the Bitaxe to get people onboarded with what the Bitaxe actually is, how to get started with it, the usual stuff actually. And then later on, I had a workshop about my Nerdnos, about the Nerdnos project in general. And yeah, just onboarded the people into the scene of mining. And after that, basically the rest of the day was like drinking beer, having lots of conversations with other people, and just chilling and relaxing and enjoying that Bitcoin exists.
Sounds like a wonderful way to spend a few days. Is it German speaking or is it English as well?
So it's quite funny. Usually, most of it is in German, but there are from time to time a couple of people attending who only speak English. So 1 or 2 or 3 workshops from time to time they actually are in English as well. So it's trying to become a
Good to
little
know.
bit more international.
Well, let me know next year because I've been practicing my German
Oh
and I can
yeah,
speak
please
English. So
go out there
I'm
and
on board.
order a beer, please.
Deal. I'll even pay for it. How's that?
That's the least sentence you need to learn.
All right, deal. Good man. It sounds like you had a good time. You said you were onboarding people with mining. It's interesting actually going to so many of these Bitcoin kind of conferences. How many people aren't exposed to mining? Because obviously mining makes up, essentially without mining there is no Bitcoin. But it's
Correct.
a lot of people get into it because they just number go up. A lot of people want to everyone's got their own relationship with Bitcoin. It never ceases to amaze me how many people don't understand the importance and actually the principles of mining. And anyone that you can get on board with that to strengthen the network and stuff is a job well done, really.
I'd say like probably 95% of people don't actually know anything about mining or don't even know how important it is. Like if I did it in Prague, and I usually do this in basically every conversation that I do have with people where I do try to talk with them about Bitcoin, Bitcoin mining in general, is I tell them, well, what have you learned about Bitcoin so far? You know how to create transactions, you know how a mempool works, maybe, you know how to run your own node, but what's the last pillar that you're missing? And none is ever talking about like mining. They just think it exists and it's okay to have it in the state that it currently is in. That we do have basically 3 major pools having over 60% of the network hash rate and having only like 2 major manufacturers of ASIC chip miners that are in such a size that you can say, well, they basically control the entire market. And as soon as you do expose these people to these kind of topics, they are like, what? I thought Bitcoin was decentralized. Yeah, well, no, it's not. I'm sorry to tell you. We are far away from that.
So early, as everyone keeps saying.
Yeah, so early. No, it's quite funny. I mean, I had lots of good conversation with people trying to actually understand it. And the workshops, the way I do them is like I have the option before the event is happening that people can purchase a ticket, but they can always attend to these workshops. So everybody is free to come in and just listen. But the ticket is just there to grab yourself a Bitaxe and maybe sort out a little bit on the Bitaxe. So I had like on the first workshop, I had like 9 people attending there. All of them got the Bitaxe and we sorted a little bit on it. We understood a little bit more about all these components that are on it and why they are important, how everything works together. And later on, then I do dive into like the software, which kind of pools to use, how pools affect like rewards and stuff like this. What's the difference between solo mining and pool mining, or like PPLNS, FPPS, and so on. And the interesting factor is like usually the people who are attending to it and trying to get used to the Bitaxe, they don't really ask that much questions. But the people who are just attending there and trying to get in there and having a good chat, they are always in there and like, well, I do have a question about this kind of payout mechanism. What's going on with that? Why are these pools so centralized? That's the most interesting part about all these workshops that I do, that always these people are coming in just to gain more knowledge. They do know about mining, but yeah, they want to learn more about it and want to know why this problem exists, which is probably the best part for me, because then I can kind of shine, I'd say, because I love to talk about this topic. I mean, we're here at Open Source Miners United. Obviously, we do love talking about mining. We always love talking about how 99.99% of the market is closed source and not open source. So, yeah, there we go.
Well done, and thank you for representing and holding that flag and that baton.
It's so good. It's my pleasure, man. I need to do that. It's like my internal combustion engine is telling me if you don't do that, you're gonna die. So I need to do it.
Well, I have single-handedly seen you on many stages. I've been at the front waving like a fanboy, and I can say, everyone that hasn't seen you, you are passionate and you talk from the heart, and that's the most important thing. So it's good. You are the right guy to do it. So well done.
Well, in the end, the interesting fact about the topic of mining is like, as soon as you do start exposing these kind of topics to the people and they get to understand it, obviously you need to make sure what kind of knowledge base they're currently sitting at. It usually starts with like getting to know them a little bit, knowing what kind of information or what kind of knowledge they do have about mining. And then you can adapt to that and talk with them about like in the style they do need to, because obviously you cannot go to your grandma and talk with her about Bitcoin mining with all these, I don't know, like terms that she would never understand. You need to use some analogies and other things to explain it to her. But as soon as you figure that out, you start a really, really interesting conversation, because then these people do realize that something is majorly in a flaw there. And I had like one guy who was really insane. He was coming up to me and was like, well, dude, I have like so much solar and I want to start mining. I didn't really know where to start and stuff like this. And we were going back and forth about that. And then in the end, we had like a 3-hour conversation about which pool he should probably use, especially when it comes to, for him, the most profits and the most longevity when it comes to decentralizing mining, actually.
So I was listening to what you're saying and reading what Badger was writing about how lottery miners help global hash rate, and the last word you said was decentralization. Can I segue onto what Badger's asked about how do our lottery miners help the global hash rate?
Yeah, sure. Did you lose me, or did you lose connection again?
I think I lost connection.
Okay, so if anybody in the audience is losing connection or is hearing anybody of us just opting out,
to be honest, I think it's me. One of my sons just came in and said, "Oh, the internet's not working," so it's probably me.
Okay.
So
go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. So Badger's kind of asked a fairly kind of, I want to say, well, yeah. How do our lottery miners help the global?
Question first before we do answer it.
Yeah. How do our lottery miners help the global hash rate? The odds are stacked against infinitely, but I like contributing to the network. Could you explain how lottery miners help decentralization? Do you have an opinion on that or an answer on that, Montclou?
Sure, of course I do. So the usual conspiracy theory that you do get, and I'd like to call it that, is that most people will tell you, well, if you don't find a blog, you don't actually contribute to it, which is partially correct and partially wrong, in my personal opinion. Obviously, everybody needs to do their own research, and that's the best way to actually gain knowledge. But the thing is, even though if you, let's say, you mine for 10 years and you have never found a blog, obviously you're questioning yourself, is it actually worth anything? Now it all comes down to, how do you mine? Do you actually solo mine? Then you might feel that it was worthless what you did. But if you mined in a pool and got like a paid share of what was contributed from this pool, then you don't feel that baffled about this. When it comes to actually producing blocks itself, obviously finding them on solo is the best thing to do, because then you have all the routes on your own. But the entire question all around it belongs to one primarily factor, which is like, if your miner does not find a block, then it's worthless contributing to it, which is majorly false in my opinion, because then you can put out like 99% of all these miners in a pool, they will never find a block. Just a couple of them are actually finding a block. So would you throw them away? No, it doesn't make sense to do that. You still would use them, and you still would use as much as you possibly do have in there to actually increase the odds of finding a block. Decentralizing
Well,
yeah.
I was to say it's worth kind of emphasizing the fact that it just takes one hash. So every lottery miner, every Bitaxe, every Nerdaxe, every one of these things, it takes one hash, one lucky hash. Hey Matt, one lucky hash to find a block. So does it help? Does it contribute to the network? Absolutely, because that's what you just said. If you've got 1,000 miners all mining in a pool, it takes one hash from one ASIC on one miner to find a block. And so someone today on CK pool with 48 terahash solo mined a block. So that's one block that is taken away from the big centralized organizations. So every hash counts. And actually more so, I think, for me, I'm, philosophically, I've been in Bitcoin since 2011 and mining since 2011. For me, I've always hosted my own Bitcoin node and solo mine to it. So philosophically, I truly believe if you have a lottery miner, you should be running a node. That itself contributes to the strength, the integrity, and the global decentralization and potential manipulation of the Bitcoin network. So yeah, mining does matter. Mining to your own node matters even more. That's my 2 pence.
Yeah, and especially if you do think about it, we have every 2 weeks there is a change when it comes to the difficulty. So increasing the hash rate, even though you don't find a block, does actually change it.
Agreed. I just want to just kind of to develop algo triple two. You're saying, but not every hash rate finds a block. Well, of course it doesn't. Just like if you buy 100 lottery tickets, not every lottery ticket's going to win. But it's the fact that you're there, your miner is working, and actually, if time was no object, I guarantee that every Bitcoin miner on this planet would mine a block. If time was no object, it's just a lottery, and as Matt rightly says, it's a true random lottery. It could be the next hash or the never hash. Or a million,
the interesting
whatever.
fact about this is like you cannot really answer this question with like a yes or no thing here. It's like, well, decentralization itself is one part that you need to answer individually, and then contributing to the network when it comes to finding blocks is a different topic that you need to answer. So yeah, I mean, obviously, sure, we could have like every single miner pointed towards one single pool, then we would increase the capability of finding blocks, but we would not increase the decentralization of the network. So those are like two major things that you need to divide it into, I think.
Yeah, and as I'm going to abbreviate, Hexfox rightly says, keeping control decentralized. It's so important.
I mean, we've seen a couple of approaches. One of the major changing approaches was from Ocean with the Datum implementation, where you can just run something at home and then try to still use that and contribute to the entire pool, which was a concept that was not that implemented in that way that did it. But obviously, previously to that, you could always run your own node at home, but then you need to actually find a block to contribute to the network. So there are always some new concepts that are arising out of nowhere, which is awesome to see, especially these days, where mining becomes more and more important than ever before. It should have never been that unimportant that it was.
Totally agree.
All right. Yeah. Let's see, what kind of topics else do we have to talk about? One interesting thing that's currently happening is when it comes to firmware stuff and updates for ESP Miner that we probably should talk about is you probably have noticed that it's at the moment a little bit slowing down, which is good. People are using holidays, people are doing vacation, going outdoors, hiking and stuff like this. So, personal opinion, I do not expect another release of the version 2.10.0 very soon. I probably think it will happen next month, somewhere mid next month. I mean, we're not tied to any schedule. I just wanted to point this out here that I don't think that anything is happening very soon there when it comes to a software update. But still, improvements have been done. People are still contributing. And the current firmware, apart from one tiny hiccup that's in there, it's working perfectly, the current firmware, so I don't think there's a need for another update that is needs to be pushed out. But I just wanted to point it out here, so don't expect a update in the next, let's see, with the 26th. Don't expect an update in the next 4 days. Probably not in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks.
One clue, I've got a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
You are always making and designing something. What are you working on that you can talk about?
Oof. So this is a hard thing. I mean, I'd love to talk about plenty of projects, but I'd love to keep it down to things that are actually open source. So obviously, I do have a couple of projects that I'm working on my own. But I think exposing them to this community will happen as soon as I hit the publish on GitHub button and not before that. Otherwise, it would be unfair, I think. But apart from that, cool things are happening. The best thing that is actually happening is that is taking up weeks, if not months of work so far, is the BAP. I've talked about it in the last town hall, the Bitaxe accessory report. I've published a working prototype branch on my GitHub already. I need to finalize this. Probably will happen over the course of this week because I have finally vacation, so I do have time to work on that and finalize it. So this should happen very soon and hopefully be implemented in one of the next releases so that people can start on integrating things with BAP. Hint, hint to Duncan for the bit Halo.
Absolutely. I've got a list of things that I want to build as soon as I get some time, and a BAP.
Yeah. When do you gonna have time? When? Soon, TM.
Well. Actually, I have officially left my event company, so I'm now doing this full time, which
is awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Cool. Well, it was why not? So it wasn't kind of forced upon me, but it was an opportunity presented itself to walk away. I didn't quite walk away. I sold my shares, and thanks very much. I've been an event, a lighting designer in the kind of concert theatre world for 23 years. And I just got bored of it, actually. It's just soulless. And actually my passion is designing and making and creating and just doing all this sort of stuff in the Bitcoin space. So I'm now doing this full time. I'm still on great speaking terms with my ex-business partners. They're my closest friends. We all went to school together. But it's just time for something else, really. So I'm pursuing this full time and carrying on with my flying, instrument rating and doing some night rating stuff, and going to do a lot more flight stuff as well. So yeah. I'm 42. Really awesome. I'm not getting any younger. I just need to. You got to take time back, otherwise you just end up working yourself to the bone and you just die. And ain't nobody got time for
that. Yeah, probably. But it's so awesome to hear that you are finally doing this full time. The thing that you love to do. This is true passion to me, man. This is exciting. I'm happy for you. Good for you, man.
Thank you, but give it a month. Well, basically, I've got enough money to live happily and comfortably for about 3 weeks. So we'll see.
Oh, fuck.
I'm joking.
Yeah, for 3 weeks, it's better than nothing, eh?
Yeah, quite. Yeah, it's a big step, and it's a company that I started, but I was when I was 19, and been going for 23 years, and I'm just done, man. I'm over it. I've got to do something else. So yeah, Bitcoin and flying, that's my thing.
Awesome.
And designing. and making heat sinks. I seem to be making heat sinks for everyone at the moment, so I'm doing that as
Yes.
well. So that's
This is so. I mean, so for those of you who don't know, like there is this mini miner called Nudnus, and the heatsink does have some sort of a, yeah, it's not really that big. Let's put it the way it is. And I told Duncan, well, dude, just design me one. I'm still waiting for the prototype, but I do have high
on
hopes
Monday.
for it. Huh?
Yeah, it's. I was saying it'll be with you on Monday. I've got the tracking and stuff, but yeah, we've all the thermal analysis and the CFD, the computation analysis stuff. Like that heatsink is going to kick ass because there's more surface area on it than the bitch and sink. And there's well, and weight. There's like 80% more surface area and weight. In a really confined space with a ducted fan with no possible kind of air loss around the outside of the heatsink. So I'm really hopeful that it'll be really really good. So yeah.
Oh, I do hope so too. I mean, the just the surface area compared to the heatsink that I'm currently using is like so much bigger, so it's gonna be great. But
Well, the
before we do talk about a couple of these things, I want to make sure, like K1, you posted in chat that you almost have a new ESP miner rewritten in Rust. You said it's still cooking, but it's currently hashing and submitting shares, which is awesome. So I'm really loving to read that. Whenever you want to come up on stage and talk about that, if you feel comfortable doing that, I would love to have you here, mate. You do some fantastic work on that. And we do see Hexfox is obviously telling everybody that you, Duncan, are our supplier of heatsinks, which is probably the case. You're just creating so many heatsinks, it's insane. People would probably wonder how many of these different heatsinks you did.
But I will say, so Sean from Xtech and obviously Solar Satoshi boys have both come up with fantastic heat sinks, and it's made me get my arse in gear. Because actually, you know, it's great kind of seeing both of these designs come out. Which is yeah, shit. I wish I did that. Shit, I wish I did that. But it's good. Like competition's great, and actually, you know, well done to you both. But it's game on.
It's awesome to see. It has a nice factor to it. That it does have a nice factor to it because now you can like Solo Satoshi, they do call it like the dark horse, I think. Please correct me, Matt, if I'm wrong on that. Or you can use the bitch and sink. So you do have like these two options, and I think thermal wise, both of them are really nice. I haven't done the numbers on which one is better or not, so I cannot talk about that here. I need to do that. I have both of them at home, and I received myself a thermal camera just a couple of days ago, so I need to do some testing, and I want to be a little bit bitchy to my Bitaxes, so I need to do that, definitely. But the nice thing is now you have actually nice competition, which for the customer enables them to choose like, well, want to use this? Oh no, I don't like the style. All right, this style I do like, and that's what I love to see. Competition. Thermal will probably also be different on both of them. That's what I expect, at least, with my tiny bit of knowledge when it comes to thermal thingies. And yeah, it's just good to see.
Yeah, competition is fantastic. Because the thing is it drives invention and innovation, and you know that's why we're here now. That's why we have the Bitaxe. That's why because there's always a need for something better. And the thing is, you know, when there's a need for something better, you know, people come out of the woodwork and design better stuff, and it just keeps getting better and better and better. Because at no point does anyone design anything and go backwards. So yeah, I'm just excited. And I just want to I've just dropped something into the chat. I've just machined those solid copper bitchin' sinks just for a bit of fun. Just you know.
Do you want to give us a? Okay, you don't need to be precise, but when it comes to the difference, I think the original bitchin' sink is out of casted aluminium or something like that.
Yeah, so the original bitchin' sink was extruded aluminium. So you have it's like the yeah, so you have like the Play-Doh machines that squirt out the Play-Doh. It's like that. It's you know really high pressure. It squirts it out and it's CNC'd and milled and you know it's finished. But this, what this is here, this is the copper bitchin' sinks have been milled from a solid block of copper. That weighs 260 grams. It's just ridiculous.
260 grams. This piece.
Yeah.
What the heck? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, do you
So we're
have
going
like
to
rough percentage numbers? How much more expensive this
no,
copper
no.
thing is?
Well, I know how much they cost, but I
You don't
haven't
need to
tested
tell
them yet.
us.
That's the thing.
You don't need to tell
No,
us,
no. Well,
but
I can't tell you at the moment, but I've not tested them. The prototypes are due with me next week. But I've done another version of that as well, which is another 20 mil taller. Um, also in solid copper. So it's just basically because, as I've said before, because I've got the machine shop in China, which I genuinely own. I can just get these things made, and they just send them to me. So that's what I've done. I've just had these made, and all these people, all you guys that want kind of heat sinks and stuff, yeah, like it's a case of me doing a bit of CAD work and speaking to my guys,
pure
and
copper
it just
heatsink kits.
arrives. But yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. So, but yeah, um, yeah, those copper heat sinks will be sub $25 if I can get it. But essentially, it has to hit more than 2 terahash, or it's not worth doing. And that's my target, like
Yeah,
2.1.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
thinking 2.1 to at a push. But we'll see. But yeah, it's just it's that fuck around, find out thing, isn't it?
Definitely. Faffing around is one of our best things that we can do here.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
One thing that
I just want
before
to.
we dive into that, let's quickly talk about like the 2 terahash limit, and maybe Ben, if you want to come up on stage and have like one or two opinion on it, as well, or K1 or someone else would be awesome. Because today I had an interesting conversation with someone talking about the ASIC chips and how we actually utilize them and how they do produce heat. Because I had someone in my workshop today telling basically, well, the thing of using an ASIC chip is like, sure, you just splash on a heatsink and you try to reduce the heat that is coming out of it, or you're not trying to reduce the heat that's coming out of it, but you're trying to get away the heat that this device is producing. But what if like the chip itself is in a package, this black thingy, plastic looking like thingy around the ASIC chip, around the die that is the package of the ASIC chip? What if the opening of the die itself is not capable enough of transferring the heat to the heatsink? So it's producing more heat inside the ASIC than it can actually transfer out of it. What's happening then? I mean, probably it's gonna die. I've never seen that, but I'd love to have a conversation about that.
Mm.
One array. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not even
Thermal
thermal
runaways
runaway.
is a real thing. Thermal
Yeah,
runaways a problem.
I mean, I don't know if we actually ever hit that limit on any Bitaxe. Probably. I mean, uh, could be like a customer. Hey, I need a new Bitaxe. Why? Yeah, well, it burned. What did you do? I just overclocked it. Uh huh. All right. Yes. So thermal runaway, as K1 pointed out here, it's called, is actually a thing that I never thought about. So, Bedju is
I
writing
have
a
lost
chat. Could you
many a
raise
3D
the...
printers. Yeah.
Pardon? What did you say?
No, I would say I've lost many 3D printers to thermal runaway. Um, yeah, it's just a vicious circle, and actually, K1's right. You absolutely could push a Bitcoin miner into thermal runaway, and it would just exponentially just get hotter and hotter until it bursts into flames or melts or something.
I mean, that's the thing. I I don't actually know how you would actually measure something like that. I mean, you solder to a testing plate and then you try to increase the heat and resistance inside of it by just overclocking it to, I don't know, the whatever shitload you can think of. And at some point it needs to burst, but then you need to figure out, was the heatsink properly mounted? Was the thermal paste used properly conducting between the ASIC and the heatsink? Was the heatsink even capable enough? So how do you actually measure something like thermal runaway? I don't even know that. That would be interesting to know, because then we would know what the actual limit of the ASIC itself is, if we would say we know how to, or we would be able to perfectly align a heatsink on it. It's just something that I'm thinking about. Some stupid stuff here. All right. Seems like Duncan just lost here. Anyway, let's see. Not the exact of a science, sadly, and the chips will kill themselves too quickly to measure practically without a sink. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. I mean, we do know that you cannot actually somehow measure it without a heat sink, so you need to have that. But it's an interesting concept of thinking about the thermal runaway that I was never thinking about because I never experienced it, and or maybe I did, but I didn't notice that it was like thermal runaway because I'm not into that topic. Duncan, do you want to try to come back up on stage or do you want to stay down there? It's too good to have you on this because then I just have someone to talk to. Also, guys, I want to make sure for everybody that you do know, it's good to have you back here. It's good for you to know if you have any questions. You can always raise up your hand and I'll make sure to bring you up on the stage so that you can have a chat with us. If you don't want to be recorded, you can still use the chat functionality here in Discord and just ask in a couple of questions. Don't be afraid of any question. All questions are welcome here. So let's see what Duncan here is writing. Thermal runaway is happening more or less anytime your heatsink setup can't keep up with the chip. It just doesn't cause the chip to die because you have software protection and enough heatsink mass to slow everything down. Yeah, I mean, sure, we do have like a couple of protective measurements and mechanisms programmed into the firmware for your Bitaxe, but still, things could happen. I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting concept to think about how much we can push it. I don't wanna use an ASIC that's at like 90 degrees Celsius, but I wanna know what the limit would be of it.
I think with all your spare time, you should find out.
No. I have so many other things to do. So many other things. It's quite interesting what's lately happening with plenty of people joining into the market of mining and doing all these things. I mean, we do see that with Open Source Miners United and the Bitaxe itself and all the other awesome projects like the NodeX and the NodeQX series and everything else, it's awesome to have more and more people getting involved with it. But at the same time, you do see bad actors are happening all over the place as well. So yeah, market is quite interesting lately, and things are going sometimes backwards, but well, let's see how it plays out. And in the long term, it's always good that we do see that more and more people are interested in open source tech and actually do get it, what we're trying to do here. Badger is asking, do you know anything about new AC chips more efficient in development? I mean, we have seen pictures of the upcoming S23 chip. That's what it was told us, the BM1340. Scott posted a picture of it on X. I got a couple of pictures of it as well. So could be the potential next one. It's likely that this will be the potential next one. But when it comes to any datas, apart from what Bitmain published themselves, we don't know anything more about it. And development-wise, as far as I do know, Scott is not trying to create a Bitaxe on that. I don't know.
I'm just trying to find the picture that Scott posted. It's a big old chip. It's like 12 mil square, I think.
It's insane. It's insanely huge. It just does make sense. Like, think about it. If you want to put on the same die in the same package size that you do have for the BM1370, well, how do you actually increase the overall performance of it while staying more efficient? So what they did is they obviously increased the die size, therefore you need to increase the package size, which obviously increases the amount of space you need on your boards. So it's arguable if this new chip is actually performing better when it comes to space usage compared to the old one. I don't know, just some thoughts that I'm throwing around here, but still. But just also asking, who's the main company involved in designing these things? Yeah, and K1 answered that, Bitmain.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Bitmain partially, or like 60%, and then TSMC the rest 40%, because TSMC is the manufacturer and Bitmain is doing the design of it. Sorry, Duncan, you were about to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just I'm just kind of looking at that picture. It kind of looks like the die face in the middle is the same size as the BM1370, and I just wonder if they've oversized the actual ASIC itself just to help with heat management. Because obviously, if you've got, I mean, I might be totally wrong, but if you've got the same kind of source material, it will dissipate heat over a larger surface area. I mean, I'm just totally speculating, but I just wonder if that was a thought process on their part, really.
I mean, it could
Just for
probably be the case. I mean, the package itself is not that good at transferring any heat, but the die itself obviously is. So,
yeah, I wonder. So, you said that there's no plans at the moment to build a Bitaxe around the BM1340.
yeah, correct. So far, the current thing that I do know is there's no plan for doing that.
Until people get chips in hand and get itchy and go, right, let's do this, because that's what happens.
I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know what Scott is thinking. He's not here, so he cannot really answer it. But I'm just throwing out some conspiracy theories that I'm thinking about it, why he or others don't want to do it. One thing could obviously be like, well, maybe we encourage other people to do it. That would be awesome. That would be sick. Like having more people doing that. It's one of the best things that could happen. The other thing is obviously Scott has plenty of things to do. So I wouldn't judge him if he just says, well, dude, I would, but I can't because I have so many other projects that I need to finalize. So yeah, Betja's already asking for BM1340 hex. Dude, think about it. Think about it. I mean, even the things that we're currently seeing, like the Node QX++, there was, I think, yesterday, revision 6 released. So just a couple of changes when it comes to the board itself, which are looking really fantastic. And the Node QX++ itself is doing perfect when it comes to hash rate, like 5 terahash thingy, this kind of sub range of 5 terahash. And if you do compare this to like older miners that we do had, 100 watts was not really capable of delivering anything close to that previously. So now obviously the next steps that we need to take is make something bigger. Yeah, sure, we need to do a hex. A hex for the BM1370 would even be nice. There was someone who was trying to create one, but it never got finalized. And yeah, I mean, there are a couple of issues that needs to be figured out when it comes to creating designs with higher voltages and stuff like this. But in general, it's an interesting thing, and I do hope that we see like more and more development starting. Like we need to go in the sub 500 watt range, because then we can speak about like small home heaters or water pre-warmers or stuff like that. Or we even go into the range of like 1,000 watts, and now all of a sudden you can use it to, I don't know, slowly heat up your jacuzzi or something like that. That would be awesome.
So I'm actually working on something at the moment, just for fun. It's not NDA'd. It's just because I have a hot tub with a broken heater. I'm currently butchering an S19, and I'm machining a water block to provide heating in the hot tub. Just because, really. And I think the future of home mining, other than the little desktop trinkets, is very much utility, and that's heat recovery. Obviously we all know this because we've all seen all the millions of heaters that are on the market. But I think if you can integrate it, into the core of the home, heating the water, or the radiators that we have on the wall here in the UK, or the hot tubs, or the underfloor heating, I think that's the win. And especially if you could open source. Or just design something that has, even removable blades with edge connectors and whatever. So as the technology improves, you haven't got to rip out your whole home ecosystem. your infrastructure. You just take the blades out and put a new blade in, and so on. But that's that's a huge upcoming industry, which I'm really excited to be playing in. Actually, just the home heating stuff.
I mean, just the topic when we're talking about heat reuse is quite interesting, but it's the only thing that you can actually do with the with the energy that you, if you want to call it like that, wasted. Because obviously you're gonna hopefully create some new coins, but at the same time you also waste this kind of energy if you just use air cooling, because then it's going out into nothing. So you're just cooling, you're just increasing the heat on the planet. Nice thing. If you could use it to obviously heat up your jacuzzi, or use it for preheating your warm water for your tub or something like that, that would be even more better, I think. And a nice touch. The thing is, how could you convince people to put something like that in their basement? Like, if you want to go over to your granny and tell granny, well, granny, you need to throw out your old furnace. We have a Bitcoin miner now for you. What's going to happen? We need to make sure that these people do understand that this is a nice solution, especially when all these people come along and tell you, well, your air pump is way better because it does have an efficiency factor of 1.5, and Bitcoin mining only has an efficiency factor of 0.987 or something like that. Yeah, sure, but think about your air thingy in the middle of the winter. Your Bitcoin miner is always at the same efficiency factor. Your air thingy not. Decentralized Mind was asking if the Ref 6 for the NerdQX++ is already in GitHub. Yes. So if I'm not mistaken, I think Ben is gone from the audience, but if I'm not mistaken, Ben created the revision 6, and it's on his one. I don't know if PMax will actually push this also on his GitHub, but I hope so. Otherwise, I mean, we do see it. We have like plenty of forks all around the globe on GitHub. So when it comes to the NerdQX++, yeah, the revision 6 is on GitHub already, on the GitHub from Ben. So there you go. Maybe
one quick question for you.
Yes.
Just very quick. Are you going to Baltic Honey Badger in Riga?
No.
Cool, good chat.
I wish I could, dude. I wish I could. It's always this hassle, and I hope that a couple of people can relate to that, is you have this hassle with Wi-Fi to tell her that you are more often away because you need to go to Bitcoin conferences. What I did today is I drove like 2 hours to grab Wi-Fi and kit, driving 2 hours back, and I was bringing them to this Bitcoin conference that I was staying at. And she was super weird. Like, not she as a person, but she was feeling super weird. Like, okay, what I'm doing here, all of these people are talking about things that I don't understand. I don't even know this vocabulary. So what's going on here? I mean, I get it. It's probably super weird. And then telling her that I need to fly into a different country for a couple of days, multiple times in basically every single month, she's gonna hate me. So I try to keep it as polite as possible.
I think that's very sensible. You've got to put your family first.
Yeah.
Well done. You need to teach me how to do
that. I mean, yeah, no, I can't.
my kids are 19 and 17, and my wife comes with me anyway. So I'm the other end of the.
You're on the other end. I wish I would be at that end, because then I could just say, well, son, just stick at home, fuck around. I'm going to grab your mother and we go all around the globe. That would be insane. But I can't, because my son is just 1. So, yeah.
That's no shit.
A good thing is he can't speak, but he can cry, and that's annoying. But yeah, I love him still. So.
That's very sweet. You are a wonderful father. I've seen you with your son, and you're a wonderful father.
Yeah, enough praying.
Well, you're not a Bitcoin company.
Dude, I hope it every single day when I do wake up, I always hush in his ear like, Bitcoin. Your first word needs to be Bitcoin. First word, Bitcoin. Come on. Or The second word needs to be Satoshi Nakamoto. I'm trying it every single day when he wakes up. Bitcoin. Shh, Bitcoin.
Man, can you imagine? My wife would punch you with love,
Uh,
obviously.
it would be awesome if he actually says Bitcoin as his first word. All right, let's quickly take a look in the chat. Badger is writing, low cost, low energy consumption is where the market is. 20 watt, 1.2 terahash is the golden, yeah, it's probably the golden space. 100 watt to 1000 watt is expensive to run and riskier for consumers to adopt. That's the thing. Badger, I think on this, I disagree. Because what I've seen, people are going crazy for like 100 to 2 or 300 watt miners. They are starving for having something like that running in the basement, not primarily using it for like heat reusage, but there are so many nerds out there that wanna have something. At every single conference that I'm at, like people are always asking me, all right, but when's gonna happen the next hex? Do you see something with like 18 chips? I wanna see something with like 40 chip. Can you create something with like 10 kilowatts of usage, please? People are crazy.
It also comes down to the individual, but also the cost of the electricity as well. So
Yes,
you go to
yes.
places where electric is 5 cents a kilowatt hour, and of course you're going to go for a 1, 2, 300 watt. In the UK, I'm at what 45 cents a kilowatt hour. So no, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I
I'm,
mean,
I'm totally with Badger. 20 watt, fantastic.
true, true. But even then, if you have like 10 of your Bitaxe running, you're still at 200 watts. So,
I literally have 100 running pretty much all the time on test. And
see, so yeah.
but because I run my company from home, I the electricity is a business expense, so it's fine.
Yeah, so that's totally fine.
I've got to test the stuff. Do you know what I mean? So
Wait, you bring up something that I actually need to consider. I mean, do you just pay the electricity that you use in your home with your company
yeah. So
entirely?
anything. So yeah. No. No. Not
No,
all of it,
no, no.
obviously.
Okay, I'm sorry. I haven't asked this question.
Yeah, exactly that. It's a percentage basis. So I have my electricity bill. I can work out of my lights, my heating, my home insurance, everything. How many rooms I use in the house. I can take a percentage of all of my bills and run it through the
Hmm.
company because I'm genuinely using 3 rooms plus a garage
Yeah, obviously.
for the business. So the business will pay for it.
It's
So
good
yeah,
thing
you can
that
do
you
that.
told me that. I need to call my accountant and ask him how to do that as well.
Yeah, it's a legitimate business expense. So yeah, absolutely, you should do that.
Use a 60-40%
Yes.
rule for your business. What do you mean
Yeah.
by that?
Well, 60. Well, it depends on your ratio, but it's 60% home, 40% business,
Oh,
and
I
you're
see.
right. I mean, that's one example, but actually, I run about 60% of my electricity bill and all my insurances and everything through the business because it's legitimately the kind of the scale of which I'm doing here, and I can get away with that.
But before I do forget it, PMax, I do see you're back in the audience. Have you taken a look on the Ref 6 that Ben was designing, and are you planning on putting this on your GitHub as well, implementing it in there, or will you leave the Ref 6 on Ben's GitHub? Would love to know that. By the way, we love you. So yeah, that's that business thing is kind of a thing that I mean, I'm too new into all of that. Yeah. PMax, I need to tell you, seeing the XT30 connector on the NerdQX++, that's making me wet. I love that. I love that. So I'm sorry to
The
say, I
nasty.
mean, yeah, man, the XT30 connector is so nice. It's so much better than the barrel connector. I do see the simplicity for the barrel connector, but even though, like, PMax, fantastic design, the limiting factor on his design is not like everything else. It's in some cases the barrel connector, which is sad because it could be way more. It's not a design flaw because he designed it in this particular way he did it, and it's fantastic. But seeing now another fork and multiple options is awesome. So, I mean, let's see. I don't even know if you like the Ref 6 that Ben did. I don't know if you like that, but yeah, let's see if you have taken a look on his design. Take some time, do that, and let us know what you think about his design changes. And calling it the Ref 6 would be awesome. All right, with that, let me quickly take a look on the clock. We're sitting at 55 minutes already in a major breaking town hall number 40. For everybody who's listening to this later on, don't forget that you can actually check out our Discord community where we do get together, just chill, having nice conversations, and always sharing open source information with everybody. You can find our Discord server under discord.gg/osmu. And if you want to know a little bit more about the Bitaxe and other projects, and if you like or prefer to read stuff in like a format that is nice, like a blog style, then check out osmu.wiki. This is our wiki page. And for everybody who's in the audience and later on, if you want to help out and contributing to this open source scene, I would love to see people contribute to the OSMU wiki and keep it up to date, because it's a pain doing that. And I love people that are helping. Duncan.
Bravo.
Duncan.
Hello.
We need to talk about it. Can you design a
What?
heatsink for a 10,000 watt miner?
Of course.
Of
It'd
course,
just be very
yeah,
big
no
and
problem.
warm.
It's designed yesterday,
just-
right?
Yeah, just don't sit on it. Well, unless that's your thing. Everyone's got a kink. Who knows? Yeah, I could do that. Absolutely. Although if I did, Satoshi, Solar Satoshi, and Xtech will just come out and do it better. So there we go.
Probably, yeah. One thing that I need
Race
to
is
ask
on.
you, well, one thing that I need to
Go
ask
on.
you is like, have you publicly talked about your aluminium copper thingy? Am I allowed to talk about that?
Yeah,
The com-
I mean you can. Basically, it's just a little bit shit.
Oh, okay.
Excuse my
I
language.
wanted to ask it if it is good or not.
Well, so the concept is great, but what I found is that there's just not enough aluminium to like soak the heat away. So the copper dissipates the heat really well. It is more efficient than it's a lot better than the bitchin' sink, but the cost of doing it just doesn't make any sense. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to get a really quick picture. Basically, it's my bitchin' sink, which I've machined out. I'm going to shove it in the chat now. I've machined out so that's 25. That's an inch square by 3.5 mil thick slab of copper that's been shrunk and press fit in and then soldered in and machined and whatever. Just to check it out, but actually it just didn't work as well as I hoped. So
Interesting.
I've already designed another one, and prototypes are with me next week. And the other one I know is going to kick ass because I've done a lot more analysis on it and computational stuff. But the problem is they're just expensive because you're paying for the processing of the aluminium, and then you have to machine the aluminium, the pocket out, and then you have to press fit the copper in, and then you have to machine it all flat. So there's a lot of working processes. So it's work in progress. But so far I am pleased with it, but I'm not pleased enough to go, yeah, this is the one. Because as I said,
I just wanted to check on
because I've
that
got
because
you know.
it's always a nice thing to see that fuffering around is always happening and could potentially also lead into issues. And yeah, it's interesting to see because I was always thinking about it because the thermal conductivity of like copper is way much better than from aluminium, if I'm not mistaken. Please correct me if I'm wrong there. But combining these two materials, I was like, how's that gonna work?
Yeah, so it's it's a fuck around find out sort of thing. However, I've got options here that we've soldered the two material together and then press fit to get rid of any voiding. We've CNC milled out and then basically diamond ground the pocket so it's perfectly like molecularly almost perfectly flat, and done the same on the copper, and then heated one up the other one, prick it together. We play around with that. So they all work like fairly well, but it's just not. I'm not like, oh my god, this is the one. I've made more improvements. I'll have that prototype in hand next week, and I'll play. But like essentially, I just like making stuff, and it's no skin off my nose to get the my factory to make it and send it to me. So that's why I've got a pile of heat sinks here. So yeah, I'm just going to keep playing until something amazing comes out of the fire. Really.
All right, keep us posted about it, how it's going, and what's happening with it.
You'll know. Right, you will know.
I'll know. All right, that sounds perfect. I still do have the one thing that I'm switching topics. I'm sorry, but I need to talk about it. Like one thing that I always was wondering a little bit about is like, how do we get even more people involved in Bitaxe and open source mining itself? It's like always it comes back to this one topic. We need to make sure this is something for the masses. How do you do that? You need to be on shelves in supermarkets and stuff like this. And what was really bugging me is like only a few people, only a few manufacturers are actually putting time, effort, and money into packaging it into something that's beautifully. I've seen it in the packaging from a company from the Netherlands and from one company that's in the UK. And I love both of their designs that they do have, but the one from the UK that I've seen is just a little bit better, I think, because it's like, it feels like this is some packaging that you can put in a shelf in like a MediaMarkt, or I don't know what kind of stores are there in other countries apart from Germany when it comes to electronics. But that would be something that I would take out of the shelf, take a look on the back of it, read a couple of these stats, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to buy that because I love it. And then there's a barcode on it. You go to your... you go to the cashier and you just beep and you pay for it. That's what I was thinking about. Like, why are not more people getting into packaging the Bitaxe more beautifully? Do it for the customers.
So I've thought about that. You're absolutely right. For retail, there's a whole other, there's a million one hoops to jump through. Yeah, Chris is right. Yeah, the margins. But the thing is,
I don't have the numbers, so I'd like to know that.
Yeah, I think with the presentation of the Bitaxe particularly, I don't think you could stick it on a Walmart shelf. I just think it's too open frame, it's too vulnerable. And it needs to be something that's kind of machined and beautiful and sealed and ready to go.
The Bitaxe design itself is lacking something that's putting it into a beautiful case. That is not too much and not too little.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have something that's just like a big hammer on my desk, but something that's beautifully small in a small kind of case. And sure, maybe it's a little bit nerdy with this tiny screen that we do have on it, but maybe something can be designed that's good on it. I mean, you're more the designer than I am. I don't know this kind of stuff. I would look into CAD and I would like, what the heck am I looking at? Why does it press with the right and not with the left? What's going on?
So with CAD particularly, I use CAD as a sketch pad. So everything that I design, I see it in my head, I rip it apart in my head, and I get it out into CAD, and then I start kind of building on it. But I think for Bitcoin miners to work and succeed, on the supermarket shelves, they have to be beautiful.
Yes.
Like it can't, it can't be open circuit boards and stuff because people don't want that. The average person doesn't want that on their desk. But there are some really, really beautiful products coming to market, like ACS's Bitaxe Touch. I think is absolutely beautiful.
Pictures that I've seen of it, yeah, they look nice.
But Ben and team have just done an amazing job on just the finish, the quality, the software, the packaging, the presentation. That it's just like that's the future of home Bitcoin mining. These beautiful desktop pieces. I've mentioned this before, but Mine Coffee that I've designed is really underpowered. But it's not about that. It's a solid walnut base with a milled aluminium top. It glows. It looks beautiful, and that's why these things exist, because they have a place on every desk or any shelf in the world. I feel like the Bitaxe in its current iteration doesn't. But there's just so many more design-driven things coming to market, and that's what excites me: the design, the beauty of the design in this whole ecosystem.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good closing one here for this today's session, because keeping people curious about what's coming to the market is probably one of the best things to do. Especially, I hope that we do encourage and start up that treadmill in the mind of the people of thinking about what they would love to see on their desk. So I hope we did that here today. And I do thank everybody who joined into the audience. Let me quickly take a look in the chat, and yeah, then we'll see how long we will proceed with this town hall or close it up. All right. Yeah, I think this one can end here, and I do love and thank everybody who was in the audience here. I see plenty of people. I step back from giving shoutouts today. I think that's the pleasure that Scott is always doing. So with that, I thank everybody who was here. I thank everybody who's listening to this later on, and we will see us back again in 2 weeks. Especially thanks to you, Duncan. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you all for listening to my nonsense. See you all soon.
Goodbye and good night.